I'm Steve Bass with the Vancouver Symphony, joined by Salvador Brotons, our music director, back for another concert series. So what have you been up to this summer? I heard you were over in Moscow.
First of all, I went to Michigan for a music camp, conduct the orchestra and the band. I did over there Pines of Rome. I did also A Piece of Mind for symphonic band. And Romeo and Juliet, Tchaikovsky, Romeo and Juliet. It was a very good experience. I worked very hard in 1 week. And nice, it was in Michigan, Blue Lake Festival. Excellent organization. Then later in September, I was invited to the Gnesin School of Music in Moscow to give a lecture of my composition and my compositions. And it was very nice because it was very, very well attended. All the professors and the students came there. I did the lecture in English. Somebody translated into Russian also. But I put some of my pieces, my chamber music pieces, and I talk about my aesthetics and a lot of questions after the session. And I had a wonderful time. I visited Moscow, and a fantastic city, very, very cultural orientated city with a lot of tradition. Had a wonderful time.
That's great. And now you're back here as we start another season.
Yes.
We have a series of questions that people have been asking in this kind of Ask the Maestro series we're starting.
Sure.
So the first question is, how old were you when you started playing an instrument, and why did you choose the instrument that you chose?
I didn't choose anything. I was born with a piccolo in my hands. Almost like that, believe me. I don't remember when I was not playing anything because, you know, I'm coming from a family of musicians. My grandfather and father were flutists, and then I was naturally I had to become a flute
The
player.
family business.
A family business. However, I remember spending as much time playing piano than flute. Flute I was studying in the summer, and piano I was studying during the year. And for a reason or another, flute was much easier to me than the piano. The piano, the coordination of the thing was a little harder. But besides that, I also did 6 years of piano, which has been very fruitful for me because then through the piano I was introduced to composition and all that. But definitely flute was my first instrument. And then the first instrument that I became a professional musician when I became principal flutist in the opera. I was 18 years old.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I was very, 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 very young when I was already principal flutist in the Barcelona Opera.
That's great.
Yeah.
Salvador, here in Vancouver, you're known as a conductor, but in the rest of the world, you're known mostly for your compositions. How is it you spend your time on that?
Okay, that's a question that a lot of people have asked me about that. What are you? Are you a conductor or a composer? And I always say the same thing. I love both things. How can you say when I am a composer, then after I am not able to conduct my own music? Or I learn a lot about composing by knowing what the great composers in the past have done. And a perfect day for me would be in the morning a rehearsal, and in the afternoon composition. And if I can do that, I am the happiest person in the world.
So we have another question. So we ended the season last year with Khachaturian's rarely performed Bell Symphony, which, you know, most people aren't familiar with. Most of the orchestra wasn't familiar with it.
Yes.
Yet it got rave reviews. The musicians
so
loved it, the audience loved it. My wife, who's a harsh critic, came twice. She liked it so
Oh my
much.
gosh.
So where did you discover this, and why do you think it's not so widely played?
I know a lot of pieces that nobody knows. and I truly know, and I really wanted to perform, but sometimes I always have difficulties. Because why do you want to perform this piece? There's not going to be an audience acclaim, and we will not sell tickets and all that, and also maybe the musician they will not like the piece very much. And say when I choose the piece, I know the audience is going to like, and also the musicians is going to enjoy very much. Khachaturian is one of my favorite composers all over. All my life. Was also one of my father's favorite composers. And I knew Gaiané, knew Spartacus, violin concerto, piano concerto, and Symphony Number 2. Symphony Number 2 is a phenomenal piece. It's a war symphony, and I don't understand why it's not more often performed. Believe me, it's maybe because it's a little bit too long. I don't know, or maybe because it's a little bombastic sometimes. But I think it has a lot of good points, great melodies and a great ambience, and also deeply felt symphony.
Yeah, and has that kind of Armenian feel to it.
Oh yeah,
You don't often
definitely.
like
That's
hear-
always Khachaturian have this feeling of Armenian. In fact, when I was in Moscow, Khachaturian also taught and also studied at Canesian Conservatory of Music, the one that I was visiting. The Khachaturian is very big over there.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Neat. So we have another question.
Sure.
So when you were growing up, who were some of your role models, and who do you really admire now?
I admire a lot of people as a composer and as a conductor. Maybe the one that I have been very much impressed was Leonard Bernstein, because he was an incredible genius. He was a great composer, great conductor, great teacher, a great communicative person. That must be maybe one of the first models. But as a composer, I admire a lot the Russian composers like Prokofiev, Shostakovich, even Tchaikovsky very much. And also, talking about American composers, I always admire Barber, Menotti, also is a fantastic composer of operas. And conductors, my gosh, you name it, a lot of great ones. Muti, Zubin Mehta, great this fantastic conductors all over the world. Yeah.
So you do have a special place for Russian music, and we're opening the season with a bit of a Rachmaninoff piece. Can you talk a little bit about it?
It's going to be my first time that I'm conducting this piece, Symphonic Dances. This is a piece that Rachmaninoff wrote. This is the last piece that Rachmaninoff wrote for orchestra, and he wrote it in America. Around 1942, I believe. He wrote in 1945. It's a phenomenal piece of Rachmaninoff. When it was premiered, people thought it was not as good as maybe as the piano concerti, but now it has been getting more and more often performances. It's very exciting. It has very melodic moments, and also it's kind of 3 movements that are dances. And it has a lot of color, a lot of vibrant rhythms, and the orchestration is fantastic. I think the audience is going to like this extraordinary piece.
And it's going to be performed next Saturday afternoon at 3 o'clock, and next Sunday at 7 o'clock at the Skyview Auditorium. We hope you'll join us.
Yeah, and it's going to be a fantastic performance because we have Anna Kiko Myers, the great violinist, that she will play the Gigant Ravel, and also introduction in Allegro Scherzando by Saint-Saëns. And also we'll start with 2 Slavonic dances by Dvorak.
Great way to start a season.
I think so.
Maestro, thank you for coming in and talking with us, and we'll have more questions for the Maestro as the season goes on. Be sure to join us next weekend at Skyview.
Thank you very much.